Verbal escalation. Basically, verbal escalation is completely stupid. It's just about creating pictures in the mind of what we've talked in the last past. So basically, the only form of escalation that really exists, the only form of escalation, the only thing that is going to actualize your alphaness, your sexual mating value, into actual sexual arousal, the only thing that can do this is the non-verbal escalation. But what is this? Come on. But you can use words, you can use the verbal to emulate this, to play a game with this, which would be about creating picture in the mind of the non-verbal escalation. Kind of funny, isn't it? When you masturbate, while using picture in your head, you're getting aroused, right? You're getting sexually aroused. But it's only picture, it's imaginary, it's only in your head. But it works, right? So why not use it? If you can enjoy masturbating just using your head, why not use your head to enjoy sexual arousal with a woman? And this is the same for her. So that's what we do. When we talk with women, we create a masturbation thing for both of us by creating picture of the escalation in the mind. So this is the only thing that a verbal escalation is about. It's just about creating the pictures of the non-verbal escalation. And here, for this purpose, there is very common ways that every man who gets a lot of experience with a woman ends up doing, in the same way that the non-verbal escalation that we just talked about, we have the same with the verbal escalation. You will end up doing this by yourself if you just get experience by yourself. You will do them naturally, because this is like mathematics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is concept that we come up because this is so natural. This is the most obvious way of doing it. Here is the same with escalation. There is some ways that are very obvious in that work. They just work. For example, you want to fight. Why do everybody fight by punching? This is just the more natural way to win the fight, to have an impact on the other person. So everybody ends up doing punches. That's the natural way, the most optimal way. Escalation is the same. There is a natural way to create the arousal, and so everybody ends up doing those, and there's nothing wrong with it. Have you ever seen someone say, yeah, we should stop using punch in a fight because everybody does it? No, this is just perfect. This is optimal, so let's use it. Escalation is the same, and those way of doing are just optimal. Have you ever seen someone say like, yeah, everybody fucks by penetrating, so let's stop penetrating? No, this is the optimal way to generate the arousal, so let's do it. It's not a problem if everybody does it. So we want to create picture of the non-verbal escalation. That's what we want to do. The best way that I always use, that I love to use, which is so easy and which is perfect, it's just to say what you would like to happen in terms of non-verbal escalation. The same as when I said come closer. This is a bit the same. You verbally say the non-verbal escalation that you want to happen. What I do sometimes when I want to escalate, for example, I would like to get closer, but I'm a bit stressed. I feel a bit nervous about doing it. I think it will just bring some form of suffering. Sometimes I use this as a trick. I just verbalize it. I say, I would love to get closer to you now. For example, this is verbal escalation. Create the non-verbal escalation, but in the head. For example, I would love to have my hands in your hair right now, or then I would love to hug you, or things like this. And when you get further, it goes into sexual talk. I would love to take you in this position now. I would really like to do this to you, for example. And now you're creating pictures of sexual thing, like a really sexual, the last level of escalation. Very easy way to verbally escalate. You just tell what you would like to do. You will come up with more varied ways to create the same picture without saying that you would like this to happen. In some way, you will just talk about it in a creative way, and we will come to this later, how to make it creative, because now I give you the guidelines, but around it, you create what you want. Another way that people verbally sexualize all the time is through the idea of role plays, talking about things that might happen as a game. For example, this is a role play. You will be my assistant, for example, or let's get married, this kind of thing. This is games that create pictures in the head of situation where there is some level of escalation, non-verbal escalation already. So basically this is the logic behind verbal escalation. You just create pictures of cases where there is non-verbal escalation. So it always falls back onto non-verbal escalation. Now, if it's like, let's get married. Okay, first it's kind of funny, so this is why we do it. But there is this idea that married, in the background, there is a high level of escalation. You fuck and things like this, you know. So this is not nothing. But what's more interesting is to create scenarios where you dominate. This is a very powerful way to verbally escalate as well. For example, there was this let's get married. But there is also another common example, like you will be my assistant. Let's make a business and you will be my assistant. Why is it sexual? Because it's a domination thing. You're my assistant. You're my thing. You do what I want. I give you orders. Remember, this is sexuality, woman and men. That's a form of escalation as well, and non-verbal. Yeah, so even talking in a way that is very authoritarian, where you give order, you lead in your verbal, just leading, verbally leading, or even non-verbally leading. That's a form of escalation as well. When you verbally lead, it creates those pictures in the head of sexual acts. Do this. She's like, damn, she has a picture of being dominated in the head in a sexual way. That's a form of escalation. What can be an extremely good exercise to work on those is to do the same as for the topic, the exercises for having unlimited topic. You do the same, you take an element, you take an idea, anything. And now you imagine that she just talked about it in the conversation. You think about something, no matter what, oh, a penguin, and you imagine that she just talked about it. Oh, a penguin, right? Now she talked about it, and your job is to use this topic to verbally sexualize. Do it like 3 times in a row, every day if you want. And so you have those different ways to do it. Either you project yourself in a situation where there is already some kind of non-verbal escalation. Like, let's go watch penguins in the, how do you say in English? The place in the North Pole, for example, is kind of shit. Let's watch penguin together. And then you can build on it if you want. But this is the first step. There is this idea of going together. This implies some form of non-verbal escalation that's going to happen. But this is a very low level. If you want to exploit it, then you build on it. And now you will bring more interesting ideas. If you already have some level of escalation, then you can go into things like, we will do nasty things on the ice, on icebergs, or I don't know how you say it. Things like this. You create those pictures in the head of non-verbal escalation. This is one example among infinite example. You find your own thing. Other example, She talks about penguin. I would love to hold you like a penguin, close to me. For example, that's an example. That's being creative. So now what you're doing is that you're using this thing that we've talked about here for the verbal escalation, but in a creative way. Do you see how it works? Right? So if you want to add that after your morning routine of the unlimited topics of conversation, just after you've done it, so you will already have some momentum of creativity in your mind. Do this 3 times. Take an idea. Imagine that a girl just talked about it, and then find, let's say, 3 ways to sexualize, to verbally escalate from this idea. And yeah, and if you want to do it 3 times, so it will be 9 verbal escalation, and then you're done. And you do this every day. You do this every day for a month, and then verbal escalation would be pretty easy for you after that. A last little detail is a last little example is that in the same way as you can make her escalate non-verbally, you can as well kind of create this thing that she escalates verbally as a game. For example, she talks about penguin. You wanna be my little penguin, right? For example. That's an example. You frame this as if she is escalating verbally. Don't view it as a technique. This is just a way to verbally escalate using the things that we've seen. I'm just giving you this example to show you the possibilities. Be creative about it. Okay, so now let's go to the... fuck. Shit. Good, so now let's jump onto the last video where we will talk about the practice, how to get your hands into this escalation thing. You will practice. I will show you how on the next video. Before going for the practice, I want to tell one more thing that I forgot. Compliments. Compliments is one of the main basic way to just make verbal escalation. It's the equivalent of the level 1 of non-verbal escalation. It just means I'm fucking interested. That's what it means, basically. And this is the first step. So if you are stuck at a very low level of escalation and you have no idea how to bring it to a bit higher, compliments is really the basic way. It's the basic way to do it. Then you will have to be able to go further after this. But this is... Damn, I mean, this is the basic. Don't underestimate this. And it's going to be very important to deal with ego as well, that we will see later.